Hello and welcome. This is Curious Robin. So let's delve into the story of Perfume. The novel, written by Patrick Süskind and published in 1985, follows the story of Jean-Baptiste Renoir? Jean-Baptiste, a boy born in Paris in 1738. From his difficult birth, it is established that he will suffer a rough childhood as an unwanted child, passing through different guardians, all of them unaware of his remarkable ability, an extraordinary sense of smell. This unique skill allows him to perceive his surroundings like no one else, letting him breathe in all the scents life has to offer, from the most fetid to the most hypnotic. Very soon, Jean-Baptiste realizes that odors have a power of persuasion stronger than that of words, appearances, emotions, or will. The persuasive power of another cannot be fended off. It enters into us like breath into our lungs. It fills us up, imbues totally. There is no remedy for it. This places him into the path to become a perfumer, as this is the only way that he can learn to preserve what he believes are the most beautiful and unique scents. When his devotion turns into obsession, he ends up resorting to murder as his goal becomes clear: to create the best perfume humanity has ever smelled. Since its publication, the book has become one of the best-selling German novels of the 20th century. It has sold more than 20 million copies worldwide and has been translated to 49 languages. This inevitably led to... On 2006, a film adaptation was finally made by German filmmaker Tom Tykwer. Its production was considered quite an event since the book was already worldwide famous, and the film had a $60 million budget, making it one of the most expensive German productions to date. The adaptation, written by the director himself and two other writers, retains most of the original story but uses different techniques to translate the words of the novel into the big screen. And that's what I would like to talk about today. Süskind's novel centers on the connection between smell and our emotional relationship to it, how a scent can evoke a certain response or even provide objects and people with an identity. Fearlessly, the book's narrator claims that he who rules scent rule the heart of all men. The novel can describe aromas with as much details as necessary, but when doing it in a visual medium, how does one film smell?
Do it for me then. Oh, I'm sorry, Sean.
It's all right.
No. I'm sorry, Sean. Oh!
The filmmaker's approach uses different tools to convey the sense of smell that the protagonist, played by Ben Wishaw, goes through, using fast-paced camera movements that help the audience become both scent and olfactory tool to depict how the main character perceives the world. These macro shots help illustrate different aromas that almost work as real-time flashbacks that connect smell, memory, and emotion, amplifying the effects different smells can have on the protagonist and the audience. Avoiding repetition, the camera becomes an excellent tool to convey a type of cinematic synesthesia on how the main character travels the world of smell and lets us join him in his obsessive search for the perfect scent. Another particular aspect of both the novel and the film is the protagonist, as Jean-Baptiste is, actually, a villain. Both versions hardly hide the fact that the main character of Perfume is what anyone could perceive as a bad person. His motivations and goals may be relatable, but his methods are despicable. So how is it possible that the audience sympathizes with him? Film and book history have their fair share of interesting villains or villainous heroes. You may not agree with their ways, but you clearly want to see them succeed up to a certain point, or at least witness where their journey will get them. Writers and filmmakers use different tools to achieve this. The most obvious and simple one is to tell the story from the point of view of our vicious protagonist. This gives us an insight into their character's mind and helps the audience understand what makes them tick. In Perfume, we see how Jean-Baptiste survives an extremely rough childhood and he's never really taught morals, ethics, or even the difference between good and evil. This leads him to create his own code and act with an end justifies the means mentality. He has a clear goal in mind and will stop at nothing to succeed. An aspect that can really help us distinguish between a villain and a hero is the methods that they employ, as they can have the same goal but will use a different approach to achieve it. As Christopher Bogler says in The Writer's Journey, every villain is a hero of his or her own story. This leads to the next point. By giving Jean-Baptiste a difficult childhood, we can empathize with him without necessarily approving of his actions. Since his birth, he is rejected by his mother and for the rest of his youth he lacks any parental guidance or care. He is treated by some of his guardians as little more than an animal and is always met with hostility from most of the other characters in the story. When we see him become obsessed with creating the greatest perfume the world has ever witnessed as a way to develop an identity of his own, we understand his desire for acceptance. John Truby says in his book The Anatomy of a Story, to empathize with someone means to care about and understand them. That's why the trick to keeping the audience's interest in a character, even when the character is not likable or is taking immoral actions, is to show the audience the hero's motive. If all else fails, make the villain interesting enough that even if we don't empathize with him, we'll at least become engaged by his story and follow it to see where it leads. We may not approve of his murderous ways, but we want to watch him create the most powerful perfume in the world. He may not have our approval, but he certainly has our fascination. In an interview, director Tom Tykwer said, "The loneliness of the characters keeps you on his side, and that's the dangerous thing. That's what fascinates me about this movie, when you get seduced into it, and you have to be strong enough to make your own judgment." The novel uses a historically accurate setting placed in 18th century France to make the story feel more grounded regardless of its dark and fantastical premise. It directs the reader through a detailed prose to join the protagonist on his obsessive search of beauty, love, and power. The film uses the tools of its medium to convey the same sensory trip the novel evokes. It is done with great attention to detail as the production design and cinematography successfully bring this historic period to life, and expertly show how the main character absorbs the world through his nose. I believe it's also important to mention that the cast in this film is excellent, making great use of the acting skills of Ben Wishaw, Alan Rickman, Dustin Hoffman, and Rachel Hurd-Wood. If you are not familiar with either the book or the film, I strongly recommend you check either of them out so you can experience this odorous trip on your own. A trip that concludes with an unforgettable climax and a haunting resolution. Perfume is the tale of a broken character searching for the same things as the rest of us. I'm the Curious Robin. Until we meet again. If you like the content, consider subscribing to the channel.